On today's show, I'm in a new location. The Dallas Mavericks have a lot going on. They opened up a new roster spot. And is Jalen Brunson playing too well for the Mavericks right now?
Sing us the song, you're the piano man.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. Remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can watch us right now. Go subscribe. We're getting closer. Our end of the year goal is 9,000 subscribers. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos of the Dallas Mavericks and a daily podcast every single day covering your Dallas Mavericks. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor, writer at Mavs.com. The holiday honey, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Christmas happened over the weekend.
I don't have my soundboard, so I got to make up the noises today.
You know how incredible these past few pods have been without this soundboard?
Without it? Well, in a couple days, you'll be completely without me, so. He's just slowly weaning me off. They take the soundboard away, and then then finally just take me away completely.
Yeah, Christmas happened over the weekend. You guys know that we are both believers, so big holiday for us. Really busy and stuff with church and traveling and everything. I don't make too many religion plugs, but it is time to celebrate Jesus for our family and that he came to this earth. So if you want to hear more about the message of the gospel, hit my DMs up.
You said a religion plug like it was a book. I guess it is a book.
It is a book, Nick. What are we talking about?
It's the most sold book in history, so I don't think you have to.
So the rest of this pod is going to be Luke chapter 2.
In those days, these are Augustus.
But you're traveling, and the Mavericks played some games. Now they're about to play against Portland. I've been kind of worried about it until I saw a Tim McMahon tweet saying, like, everybody, do you have a list in front of you of, like, who's going to be out for Portland?
Yeah, Damian Lillard is questionable. He has been playing. He missed a couple of games, 5 games in a row at the beginning of December, but he's played the last 6 games. But he is questionable for personal reasons in this game. CJ McCollum is out with his lung situation. He has recovered from that, which is great for him, but he is not going to play in this game. Cody Zeller, our guy Dennis Smith Jr. is not going to play in this game, sadly. Robert Covington, Ben McLemore, and then a couple other guys are out for COVID protocols. So it's Nurkic and Simons, and I guess is Trent Jr. going to play? I guess that's all they got. And then Nance. I guess that's what they got.
They're trying to get Trent back from Toronto, but so yeah, we'll see what happens with Dallas. You know, Josh Green, he tested out of protocols right before that game, for Christmas, but he obviously didn't play on Christmas. He eventually joined the Mavericks in Salt Lake City, so it looks like he's on track to play Monday night. As far as who else,
real quickly, I'm a little fascinated to see what Jason Kidd is going to do with Josh Green, because the Mavericks have opened up a new roster. Gino Marui had foot surgery. He's going to be out for basically the rest of the year, and so they spotted. I'm curious to see if Josh Green, where does he slide in the rotation compared to Theo Pinson and some of these other guys the Mavericks have added with the hardship clauses, because is he above those guys? Is he getting more? Is he obviously he's in the rotation? He is above Theo Pinson's minutes. He's above even Marquise Chris or somebody like that. I'm curious to see what he's going to do with him.
Yeah, especially with, we'll have to see what happens with Dorian. Dorian being a scratch on Christmas Day, that was just another blow to the Mavs there. But, I would have to say that, Josh has to play way more minutes than some of the hardship guys, right? He has to. I would say if Dorian's out. Yeah, I would say if Dorian's out, surely Josh would start in that spot, possibly. I don't know. I just want to see if, as long as we're rolling out, all of these guys and these lineups and stuff, let's play Josh Green a little bit more. Let's see what we have and keep going from there. But I think that, you mentioned on Marui being waived. He had the ankle surgery that was kind of like, did it happen? And just we saw an injury report, and then they announced the surgery. Basically, going to be out the whole season. So they waive him to yesterday, open up the spot. I mean, it's basically a tryout now, right? Like now these guys they have a open spot that they can try out for. Now I don't know what guys like Brandon Knight, some of these older guys feel about a two-way spot, or if they're like, hey, I'll just take whatever
I know for sure Brandon Knight is not eligible for the two-way spot because you have to have played.
There you go.
You have to have played less than 3 seasons or be in your fourth. Like you have to play less than 4 seasons basically. So if you're in your 4th season, so like Theo Pinson is right in that range where this is his 4th season in the NBA that he's played technically, quote unquote. And so he can be still a two-way guy, but Brandon Knight can't be. I'm not sure about Marquise Chris. He may not be able to be. But yeah, so there's not many guys that the Mavericks have right now that can fill that spot. I'm curious to see if they do get if they get creative with any of these guys. But I want to talk about Jalen Brunson because I think that's the big conversation right now.
Yeah, so for Brunson played so good on Christmas. And I think when you look at his season so far, going into this season, it's like, hey, what is he going to take a leap this season? And that's what, if the Mavericks are going to take a leap as a team, they're going to need like KP to play healthy, be healthy all year. They're going to need, Luka Doncic to stay at first team All NBA, Luka Doncic. And we need Jalen Brunson to take the next step as a player. So that has been, especially on Christmas Day, he balled out on Christmas. I feel like I had a lot of conversations today about Brunson. It was like, oh man, like let's go, Jalen Brunson. A lot of national spotlight, there on Christmas night. And I think it's started back up. An ongoing local conversation here is, what is Brunson's future? I saw some, you saw some tweets, last night too or a few nights ago on Christmas night of other fan bases, other national media people saying, man, he would be great starting point guard in Boston and these other teams out there. And it's like, other teams, other managements are watching this situation in Dallas because, as we all know, they didn't come to an agreement on an extension before the extension deadline. Now he's set to hit unrestricted free agency this coming summer. So what does Dallas do? Is he playing? And I think this is a question now for us. Like, is he playing too well for the Mavericks? And I say too well because is he kind of playing out of the Mavericks price zone for what Dallas views him? And do we even know how Dallas views him as a future building block?
Yeah, and this whole conversation is based around the roster management, the transaction game, as our friend Mark Stein likes to point out. This is not about like, okay, well, he's playing too well and the Mavericks are too good. Like, oh, well, the Mavericks are still losing games. It's not about that, right? It's about Jalen Brunson's going to be an unrestricted free agent after this year. And if he keeps playing at the level he's at now, right now, as coming off the bench, he's 27 minutes a game, 12 points, 3 boards, 4 assists. As a starter in 13 games this year, 35 minutes a game, 21 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. Like, that is really good starting quality numbers right there. And the Mavericks have been fought hard in some of these games. His shooting splits are pretty good. He's shooting 57% true shooting percentage. The Mavericks have been better with him on the floor, about 3 points per 100 possessions better with him on the floor than off as a starter. And so the Mavericks have played well with Jalen Brunson. And so now the Mavericks are about to step into this situation where, has he priced himself out of being a high leverage, 6-man or a high usage 6-man type guy? Can you play him with Luka Doncic? Can those guys be your 2 starting guards? So coming up, let's get into that. Can the Mavericks actually play those 2 guys together? Can you pay Jalen Brunson $20-something million a year and him be maybe that second option the Mavs have been looking for? And can that team win a championship? And that's the reason why we're talking about whether he's playing too well right now for the Mavericks because of the contract situation. So let's get into that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Truebill. Truebill is a place for you to get a handle of your subscriptions. There's all kinds of different subscriptions, services out there. And for some reason, it's hard. It just is. It's hard to keep track of the subscriptions that you have. It's hard to keep track of the ones that you use. And they always come back to bite you. But Truebill is there to help you. They've saved people on average $720 a year with Truebill. You can go check it out right now. Go to truebill.com/LockedOnNBA, and you can see what you can save there with Truebill. So go check it out. They've saved people thousands of dollars with their subscriptions. Their concierge makes it super simple for you to cancel the ones that you don't want or need. And they also help you renegotiate some of the ones that you already have that you want to keep. So go check it out. Go to truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. See what you can get from them. Again, truebill.com/LockedOnNBA can save you thousands a year. Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Isaac Harris, we've been talking about Jalen Brunson. Is he playing too well for the Mavericks right now, at least contract-wise? Let's start with this. So would you feel comfortable paying Jalen Brunson the amount of money? Let's say it's $20 million. Let's just say it's $20 million a year. Would you feel comfortable paying him that much to where he is kind of priced into becoming the Mavericks' other starting guard next to Luka?
No.
For the future?
No, not that much. And this is why I think it is a dilemma for Dallas right now, because I think a lot of people, and obviously this is how I think a lot of people, including myself, view Jalen Brunson and Luka is a huge factor in this, because yes, we want another ball handler next to Luka. Yes, I'm trying to say all the things that are like true right now. Yes, Luka Doncic is like not a super bad defender, but he's not going to be an all, first team defense, either at the same time. So who you pair next to Luka Doncic is going to matter so much, especially in the backcourt, especially as your secondary ball handler, your secondary creator, that type of role. So with Brunson playing so well, he's up in his price tag for the summer. But if Dallas is looking at it saying, hey, we love Brunson, but I don't know if Brunson is our long-term $20 million a year, starter next to Luka Doncic, to where you're willing to lock that in. And if they're like, hey, we'll give you whatever the most you can get from that extension number, like they're looking at probably like right now, and Brunson's camp's probably like, I don't know, I'll just wait till the summer. I can
right.
get, more money over the summer in
with
free
the
agency.
competition that's going to show up.
Exactly. And if they're looking at it and they're telling Brunson, hey, like, we'll pay you up to this amount for this extension, but we can't guarantee you a starting spot because we don't know if we're going to have to put better defenders next to Luka Doncic. We love you in this 6-man role. We love you running the offense as that secondary guy when, Offset and Luka. I think they can play together in these like stints. It's just a matter of, is that if you're going to commit 18 to 20 million to another point guard out there, then man, it has to be a perfect fit. And that's the thing of, if let's just do the hypothetical, they go into the summer and Dallas is like, here's the number that we're at. We're willing to go here. We want you back. Luka loves you. We love you. Like, we drafted you, all of this stuff, but we can't guarantee you a starting spot next to Luka. And what if there's another team out there? What if there's a Minnesota, if they moved on from D'Angelo Russell? What if there's a, another, team out there that's like, hey, we have a starting point guard spot. If the New York Knicks are looking at it saying, hey, we've spent some other places, we made some trades, we have some money, we want to bring you in to be our starting point guard. And let's say it's even money. Let's say it's even maybe a little less, but they're saying, we want you to be our starting point guard. That's where I think he's played so well. I think there could be a few teams out there this summer that says, let's do this. We want to make Jalen Brunson our starting point guard. And that's where it's going to get very interesting for Dallas.
And now, obviously, the Mavericks are not in a situation to lose Jalen Brunson for nothing, right? They cannot do that. They just literally cannot, because they have not added enough quality piece to be able to afford losing a guy like Jalen Brunson. So they've cornered themselves a little bit in this whole situation by, okay, we're not going to give you a contract. We're not going to give you an extension. And so now they can't lose him. And he's an unrestricted free agent.
No, well, I think the cornering, if we want to say the Mavericks cornered themselves, it was when the contract was signed at the beginning of his career. I don't want to say that they cornered themselves in this negotiation, because we don't know what that negotiation was. Like, Dallas could have been at the finish line since for how long, saying, we'll give you the max amount of money that we can possibly give you as a second rounder in your extension. But Brunson could still say in his camp, well, I appreciate it, that I'm like that, but I think I'm going to play well enough this season to be an unrestricted free agent to where I can make more money than what that extension calls for. So I don't know. I wouldn't blame Dallas right now. I think if you want to blame the Mavs, it's when they signed that contract and the way that contract was set up.
And back in 2019?
Was that Terrence Ross?
They signed it a while ago. No, so but the Mavericks are, whether they did it to themselves or whether it's happening to them right now, they are in a corner right now with this Jalen Brunson situation where they cannot lose him. And then they also, do you feel comfortable making Jalen Brunson your second highest paid player, where then all of a sudden you're paying what, $60-80 million a year? No, $80 million a year for Luka, Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Jalen Brunson. Right? Like, that doesn't win a title at this point, the way that those guys are playing, especially because all four of those guys, defense is not their strength. KP's getting better. Luka is solid. Brunson is okay to not good, and Tim Hardaway Jr. is not good at defensively. So who do you put next to those guys? Like, honestly, would Draymond Green make that team a good defensive team? Would Rudy Gobert make that team a good defensive team? I'm not even sure about those guys. So your options are really limited to be able to put together a championship contending team. So the question then becomes, what do you do with Jalen Brunson then? Do you decide, all right, well, if we want to pay Jalen Brunson, which he's playing better than Tim Hardaway Jr. for sure right now, and he may even he's playing better. He's playing more consistently than Kristaps Porzingis right now. KP, I think, maybe has higher peaks at times where you're like, oh, there's just things that KP does that Brunson can't hit. But every once in a while, KP will just not show up. And Brunson, this year at least, has been consistently better than what Porzingis brings. So you're like, okay, well, maybe we're in on the idea of Luka and Brunson, but then that means you have to rearrange the team around him, because the Luka, Brunson, Tim Hardaway Jr., KP lineup, like, that doesn't get it done for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the defense part of that. If Dallas does go into the offseason and they say, and this is assuming that Brunson would want to be back and say, hey, I'll re-up, let's do this thing, I'll be the second playmaker next to Luka, then you have a commitment that's saying, now it's like, man, I got to find three other guys in that five that are just lockdown defenders in the paint.
You got to do 2011 all over again, right? You gotta do that exact same thing.
But you're still in the part of it is Brunson there's no other position that Brunson's going to play, right? It's not like Brunson, you can say, he could be a 4-2, 4 or 5 or 3 or something like. No, he's a 1, and he's not going to guard many other players outside of a 1. And that's where it just gets a little tricky. So if Dallas is not committed to him being a starter, then that's where I'm so curious on how this summer will go. And if Dallas is sitting there back, if Dallas is watching Brunson right now, cheering him on and so excited, but in the shadows, they're like, all right, we're kind of scared because we know some teams are circling Brunson this summer already. Yeah. Then how does that change anything at the deadline? Because like you said, right now the margins for Dallas to miss on their opportunities,
slim,
very, very slim. And if there's a situation that happens this summer to where they walk in and Brunson takes meetings and he signs a deal and leaves for nothing to go be a point guard for the Knicks or whoever it is, and you get nothing for that,
screwed.
That's yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and they can't. And let's give Jalen Brunson credit. He has played this well to where we're having this conversation.
Heck yeah.
He has now become a plus asset for the Dallas Mavericks. A lot of, I think we've heard a lot of hemming and hawing about, well, the Mavericks have no positive assets. They don't have any guys that people would want to trade for. This is a guy of all the conversations I've had with other Locked On hosts about, hey, what would you say about this? What's the status of this guy? Would you trade this guy? It's like Jalen Brunson, and then, like, honestly, no one else. Someone asked me about Maxey, but Brunson I've heard about from other Locked On hosts like 3 or 4 times recently about, hey, would he be available in a trade? Because he's a guy that fits a need for a lot of teams.
I think we'll hear his name at the deadline. More, I think he'll be one of the hottest names that we will hear about, heading into the deadline season over these next 3 or 4 weeks.
That's the thing I'm not sure about, if we're going to actually hear the name, because we don't know how this front office works. We know how Cuban works, and Cuban's like leaks. Remember that time at the draft that we were there, and Cuban was like, if I see Woj or Shams tweet out our pick, I think it was the Dennis draft, right? He's like, if I see Shams or Woj tweet out our pick, whoever leaked it is fired, right? Like just straight up. And he said that in front of us, the media. It was kind of posturing a little bit there, but he doesn't want any leaks like that. We don't know how Nico Harrison's going to play this this new game in the NBA of, okay, well, you leak this name is available. Then all of a sudden GMs are starting to call because they know that this guy's on the trade market. How will Jason Kidd want to play that? Because it's become like this new, brain trust thing with Cuban, Nico, and Jason Kidd, where Kidd has a lot of say too, even though Kidd's not asking for the say, but he's been given say in roster and things like that. How will he want to play that? Because he's got to coach these guys. And so if a guy is going to be in trade rumors, then he's going to want to know that and want to have a say in that. And this team also was the one that handled the Harrison Barnes trade, where he was literally traded in the middle of a game. A guy that was this upstanding, like Dwight Powell 2.0, like just this incredible person in the community and like great veteran and all that kind of stuff, and gets traded in the middle of a game where he's sitting there getting embarrassed on TV to where he's out of that team. And so how will they want to handle that? I'm very curious to see how trade deadline works. The offseason is different. There's not as many rumors. The trade stuff kind of happens around the draft and stuff. But when the trade deadline starts coming up, are we going to start hearing Mavs names in these trade rumors from reputable Mavs sources, or is it going to be crickets from the Mavs? And this is all we have to trust that they're doing stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, coming up after the break, let's talk about what this trade season could look like, because I think it could be very, very weird with everything going on right now.
It could be very, very weird, but it could be great. You know what else is great? Built bars. They're delicious. They're great. They're good for you. They have so many flavors. We have a really hard time choosing our favorite flavor, except we don't. Built Bar. Why are you telling me that I have a hard time choosing my favorite flavor? I don't. The copy says you'll have a hard time choosing. I don't.
No.
Coconut brownie chunk, the best one. You don't even like coconut that much, right?
No, I hate coconut, but I love it in this bar, though.
That's a testimony right there. That'll preach right there that Isaac doesn't even like coconut, and I honestly don't prefer coconut that much either.
Preach it, brother.
But this coconut brownie Built Bar is absolutely delicious.
You're not ready for my ad reads when you're gone. I'm so excited.
Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your entire order, including those coconut brownie chunk bars and any other bars that you decide to get. The Built Broth that'll help you with working out. You can get the Built Bites. You can get the Built Boost that'll help you with staying awake in your immune system and all that. Go check it out. Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15, 15% off for your order at built.com. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into how this trade season could work out for the Mavericks and what we could see happening.
Well, and when I said I think Brunson would be one of the hottest names, I mean it in the sense of I think, and tag me on the first tweet you see of a report that says blank team is targeting Jalen Brunson, because that's not like a leak from the Mavericks,
right,
or anything
Mavs,
like that. Yeah. We see that all the time. I think we will see a handful of teams of the Knicks are targeting Jalen Brunson at the deadline. It's stuff like that.
It's that Shams, what is it? His pass, like team pass or something like that. What does he call his
inside pass?
Inside pass. His like roundup of rumors article. It's just going to come out, and Brunson's name is going to just be littered in it every once in a while.
Teams are monitoring the Jalen Brunson contract situation in Dallas.
He's an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, and realistically though, I know we joked about it, but like I seen a guy talk about Boston the other day. Like how many teams right now? I mean, I know right now because we're missing so many players, but I feel like there's even some playoff teams. I think there could be some young teams that say, hey, we want to swing for Jalen Brunson right before the deadline. Get him in here. We can have the inside track to, re-sign him over the offseason. It's just, it's how this trade season is going to work now is so weird. Like, what are teams doing right now? Like, are teams having
no rumors?
Because, like, I don't even know how you assess your team. Like
right.
Everybody's been out, and there's been so many hardship, players coming in and all this stuff. And it's like, can you even trade a player that's in protocols? Like, is that even possible? So I don't even know if a trade can even go down right now with so many players.
Is it like an injury? An injury, you can trade somebody that's injured, but the other team has to like agree with it, and their doctors have to come in. There's like all this stuff.
Can you trade hardship players? No. And then it's just like
you have to trade them with the test results. Like you have to send the test results over with them.
I did see that when the hardship players 10 days run out, or like if they get waived, they don't go through like waivers. They're like immediately cut and they could go to a new team. I thought that was cool. Very interesting the other day.
That's like 10 days though.
Yeah, so I'm just really curious. I'm curious to see how this stuff affects the deadline. I'm is this stuff still going on around the deadline? Lord, I hope not. If it's still, I made a joke on Twitter the other day. I'm like, can you imagine if the All-Star game was happening right now? Like who would be starting in this game? Who would be playing in the game when half the rosters are out? It's like, we'd have all these like blips on 2021 of like, holy crap, Daniel Ticeman an All-Star game? Like what? How?
I don't know if we're getting that far. That's pretty far. He's barely playing for the Rockets right now.
But like it would be so weird. But that's what happens with Brunson over this next month. It went from going into the season, I thought he would take a leap, but I thought it would be like a leap to where, okay, I think he would solidify himself as like sixth man. I think the league would feel that way. I think that's how the Mavericks feel. I think hey, let's go into the offseason. We're going to give you, we'll have an extension on the table for you. We want you to be back as our sixth man type of role. We'll pay you for that. But he's been playing so well as late. I think there are going to be some teams out there to say, we'll give you some starter money and we'll swing on a young guy. And that's where, man, Dallas they got a little dilemma on their hands here. But are there some other teams out there that you're like watching that outside of Indiana? We know the Ben Simmons stuff. I don't know what the crap Portland does.
The one thing that the Mavericks do have in their favor for just considering the Brunson situation is how many teams actually would want a starting point guard like that, right? Like there's not many teams that are still looking for a starting point guard. Like some of the younger teams, Orlando has like 4, right? They have Cole Anthony, they have Jalen Suggs, they have Markel Fultz.
Yeah.
Still. And Memphis has their guys. San Antonio has DeJounte Murray. The Pelicans have Devontae Graham. That's one that maybe I'm watching out for. Is there like a Jalen Brunson plus, Tim Hardaway, who they really liked, for Brandon Ingram, something around that? Like, is there something there? Houston kind of has their guys a little bit, but that's one to maybe watch out for. But like, it's hard to find another team that has starting point guard needs that would want to invest that much money into Brunson. So that is one thing the Mavs do have in their favor.
Yeah, but we also know that there are teams that can create cap space like it's nothing sometimes. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I do think Boston, he would be great in Boston alongside Jalen and Jason Tatum, those guys.
They're not creating any cap space though.
But does Boston find a way to get him? Does a team like New York, like he makes sense in New York, in my opinion? I know you talked about the Magic, but Magic also have Jamal Mosley. What if Mosley sitting there in that front office center saying, guys, Jalen Brunson is the real deal. I think he could play alongside Suggs. I think, I want to put my money on Jalen Brunson. It could be
Cole Anthony's having the same season that Brunson is having almost.
True, yeah. And hey, Cole Anthony, a steal for the Magic.
Is he a steal?
I just think there are some teams out there that could find a way. I think we could see some trades happen to where, point guard spots opened up and a team swings for it. If the Spurs go out and they trade DeJounte Murray for somebody and it's like a wing or a big or something like that, and it's like, all right, well, now they have some money and some space open.
Let's just rapid fire through the teams in the NBA and let's just see which ones we think are like, okay, we could see them needing that point guard where they want to invest a bunch of money in a point guard like Brunson, and then maybe have the availability. Brooklyn, they don't have the cap space to offer something like that. Boston, they wouldn't have the cap space to offer.
They don't have the cap space, but we don't know what happens with Kyrie.
Could they do a signing trade with the Mavs? Right?
Yeah.
Are we talking about Boston or Brooklyn? You just mentioned Kyrie.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
No. Okay. No. I moved on to Boston.
Oh, my bad.
Boston. Could there be a sign and trade? Possibly. That one is interesting. Sixers. Probably not.
I'm not gonna lie. Philly's one I've been looking at a lot. Yeah. I've teams like I'm kind of scared about because there's the Philly connection. He would work well in Philly. And it's like there's so many teams that would love to have a Jalen Brunson type. It's just I feel like Jalen Brunson loves Luka, loves Dallas, loves the Mavs and all of that. So when we start looking at this conversation, that's where you get a little scared. Like, I don't want to lose Brunson, but I don't know if I'm sitting there ready to pay him $21 a year to be, a starting point guard next to Luka.
Isaac Harris, undefeated at rapid fire since 2017.
Did you want to go through all 30 teams?
I wanted to rapid fire through all 30 teams to just be like
Toronto, no.
Fred Bailey, Knicks, yes.
Yes.
Jazz, no.
No.
Denver, no. Minnesota, no. Portland, no. Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum situation, outstanding. Thunder, yes.
Yeah.
Bulls, no. Bucks, no. Cavs, no. Pacers, no. Pistons, maybe that one.
I don't want to put anything past the Pacers, by the way.
You think so? Even with Brogdon?
Yeah. I don't want to put anything past them.
Suns, no. Warriors, no. Clippers, maybe, but it would have to take a sign and trade.
Brunson's
Lakers,
like,
no. Lakers, no. Kings, no. Heat, no. Wizards, no. Question mark about their roster.
Can we talk
Hornets.
about the Wizards real quick? I'm gonna break up your rapid fire. That's a team.
Rapid fire.
That's a team I'm watching. As far as like a Dallas, let's have some talks type thing, because we've seen Jason Kidd with like the past connections, past players type thing. We've talked about his agency. I mean, he brought in Brandon Knight. Jared Dudley was a player for him last year. Now he's on the coach's staff.
He talked about knowing Marquise Chris before.
Yes. Wizards have a handful of Lakers that he coached over the past year or so. And is that a team that I think they're sitting there saying, I don't think the Wizards think that they're going to be in the finals this year. If they blow it up, or if they try to package 2 or 3 of their guys together to go get maybe another big name out there. I just know that I feel like there could be a couple guys on that team that Dallas looks at and says, like a Kuzma or a Montrezl Harrell, or, whatever it is, that it just wouldn't. I was trying to think of an outside the box team outside of Indiana or some of these teams that we're always talking about, the Pelicans, and as far as trade partners. And they just have a couple guys that Kidd has coached before that I think would fit well in Dallas, that it wouldn't shock me if they're pulling off some 3-team deal and Dallas swoops in. It's like, all right, well, we'll take, Kuzma, we'll take Montrezl Harrell or whatever it is.
Charlotte Hornets, no. Hawks, no. Magic, Cole Anthony, they just doesn't seem to me to be a fit with their assets. Grizzlies, no. Spurs, no. Pelicans, maybe. Rockets, maybe. Right. So it's like those bottom teams. It's Pistons, Pelicans, Rockets, Thunder, Knicks, maybe. Pacers, maybe. Those are the Wizards, maybe. Those are the teams to watch out for, I think, for the Brunson situation.
Yeah, and I mean, you said the Rockets too. There's another assistant coach tie in there. Steven Silas. Is he huge believer in Jalen Brunson? That I just bringing it full circle now. I think this is the I know some people probably listening like, why are we rapid fire teams for Jalen Brunson? Like, he ain't playing that good. It's when you look at teams across the league looking for their next point guard, they're looking at situations where, like, all right, a guy that's on the cusp of breaking out, and Jalen's playing so well, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent that we all know Dallas is probably going to be very active over these next few weeks. And I'll just be very, very curious. And if he's on the roster past the deadline, then you have to figure that Dallas is very confident that they're going to pay him a chunk of money this summer and he's going to stay.
Absolutely. There you go. Guys, thanks so much for listening to the show. Thanks for making us your first listen every single day. Now go check out Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms, just like we are. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.